If I could only trade one chart pattern for the rest of my life, this would be it. It works on Singapore stocks, US stocks, Hong Kong stocks, crypto, forex, anything. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to spot this pattern and why it works so well, and how I combine it with my one good trend strategy and indicator to time powerful entries with confidence and conviction. It's simple, it's repeatable, and it just works across any markets. Let's go. So most traders chase complex setups, right? But the most powerful ones are often the simplest. This one shows up before almost every major move. Yet, you know what? Most traders actually missed it. And no, it's not some obscure candlestick pattern or some RSI crossover. I'm going to share with you right now what exactly is this pattern and how powerful this is. So this pattern is what I call the uptrend breakout pattern. All right, so we have what we call a very key horizontal resistance level that goes by this red line. So this is what we call a horizontal resistance level. And what I mean by a horizontal resistance, so essentially, right, the stock is in an uptrend. It doesn't go up every single day, right? Sometimes they move up and up and you hit what we call a bit of an obstacle, right? A price level whereby a lot of sellers are coming back and it starts going back down. Something like this over here, right? It starts going back down, going back down, going back down, right? So a lot of sellers came back, it retraces back down from this horizontal resistance level. So it could be 1 week, could be 2 weeks, could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, right? But that is a very key price level by, if we near it, that's where some selling can come back again. So when we see a consolidation like this in an uptrend, well, you want to put this stock in your watch list for a potential breakout above that resistance level, this key horizontal resistance level. So this is what I call a HR, which stands for horizontal resistance, right? And the key here is that you want this asset class or this stock to be in what we call an uptrend, right? Because we want to be in the same direction as the trend in the longer term if it were to break out to the upside. Does it make sense? We wouldn't want a stock that is going in a downtrend and it breaks up to the outside, right? We don't want that. We want to be in the same direction as the trend. So if it's in an uptrend plus it breaks out to an upside move, right, above that key horizontal resistance, that is where it could be even more bullish, right? That's where targets could be raised even higher. So how do we know if the stock is in an uptrend? Well, very simple. We can just look at the past, few months of prices. If we have been forming what we call higher lows, like over here, right? Higher lows, higher lows. So over the past few months, past few weeks, it starts moving higher and higher. It goes down, to a low that is higher than the previous low, and it goes up even higher. So higher lows, that would be signs of a healthy uptrend, right? And the next thing is that we could actually use the moving averages. So look at this red line. This red line is what I call the 100-day simple moving average, right? And the blue line will be the 200-day simple moving average. So as long as, the 100 days moving average is pointing up, same thing, the blue 200 days moving average line is pointing up, and the red line is above the blue line, that I would say we are in an uptrend in the longer term. And that's why we want to wait for the breakout above that key horizontal resistance level. So once that happened, that is where we can see a lot of upside momentum. So I'm not too sure exactly what it happens. What we could do is to set an alert right over here above this horizontal resistance level. So an alert could be right over here, right over here, right over here, 1, 2, 3. And if it breaks that horizontal resistance level on a pretty good bullish candlestick pattern or bar, or maybe even strong volume, well, that could be another confirmation where we could really start to see the next upside move of this particular asset class. This is what I call the uptrend breakout pattern. Very powerful, all right? When it comes, you definitely want to be alerted. So let's take a look at this uptrend breakout pattern from real life case study, right? So this stock is called Weaker, one of the Singapore stocks that we covered since a couple of weeks back, and we saw a very, very powerful, all right, breakout above a key level. And that's exactly what I'm saying about the uptrend breakout. So you can see this is Weaker, right? We sent out a note to our VIP clients in Philip Securities right over here, whereby, we were actually consolidating below this very key resistance. Look at this right over here, right? So it looks pretty similar to the diagram that I just drawn, right? Whereby though we touched this very key resistance level like about one time, that was last year in October, same thing in February this year, where we neared it again. In May, we neared it again. In June, we kind of like neared it and sold back down. So for the past 7 to 8 months, right, we have touched it about 4 to 5 times and we just sold back down. That is what I call a very key horizontal resistance level that we just cannot seem to break above. By one fine day, what happens, right? We managed to break above the 48 to even that 50 cents psychological resistance level. So that was where a note was sent out for our clients, whereby, we saw a very strong uptrend breakout. And remember what I talked to you, I shared with you regarding the uptrend. Like, how do we know if the stock is in an uptrend? Well, first of all, you can look at the past few months, right? Since last year, we have formed what we call higher lows, right? Pretty much higher lows over the past few months. And just by looking at the red line, the 100 days moving average, look at this red line, all right? Obviously, you can see that this red line has been sloping up. Right now, obviously, it is still sloping up. The blue line is the 200 days moving average. The red one is the 100 days moving average. So as long as the red is above the blue, both pointing up, I would say we are in a pretty strong longer term uptrend. And if you're to break out to the upside in a longer term uptrend, even better. That would be another confirmation, right? And what we could do as well is to turn on another line, and that would be what we call the 20 days moving average. Right over here, let me just turn it on, and you can see right now we have another line on the chart, right? Beside the reds and the blue line, we have a green line. So this green line is what I call the 20 days simple moving average that represents or give me an idea on the short term trend. So very simple, right? If the line is like pointing up, we are in a pretty good short term uptrend. But if it goes down, you want to be careful. We might see a bit of a short term weakness. So it goes down, flat, and it was pretty much just flat for the past 3 to 4 months, right? Until finally, you can see the breakout above that 48 to 50 cents actually happened. And the green line actually started from turning flat, right? From turning flat, it started to point up, right? Is it still pointing up right now? Yes, it is still pointing up right now. So not just the longer term trend is up, but the short term trend is up as well after breaking out above a key resistance level. So this is what I call an uptrend breakout, right? So the key here is that we are not just trading any breakouts randomly, right? We are focusing on breakouts only with stocks in a strong trend. Of course, we are looking at an upside breakout. We want the stock to be in a strong uptrend. So what we could do for another confirmation is that, based on this chart right over here, right, and of course based on this my one good trend strategy, I have this indicator right over here called the one good trend pro indicator, and in the middle of seconds, right, I can actually turn on bullish and bearish signals to see if there are any other confirmations. So you can see, right, I've turned on the green line, the red line, and the blue line, which is pretty much what I've gone through. But right now, the first box right at the top, right, show buy and sell signals based on the one good trend strategy. And there we go, right? Look at this right over here, right? When we actually saw the breakout happen, well, we have not one, but we have two, right? Two 1 GT bullish signals right over here. And there we go, right? That will be another confirmation whereby we break this resistance. And that's where more buying pressure actually came back. So let's move on to another case study on this Singapore stock called Shing Xong, right? One of the stocks to be caught for since a couple of months back. Very strong longer term uptrend. And we actually saw an uptrend breakout, right? The pattern that I'm talking about in this video. You can see right over here. So I've turned on the bullish and bearish signals. So as I say, right, I have this indicator. If you want to find out more about it, you can attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for a free webinar to learn a bit more about my one good trend strategy, and also how perhaps you could have an indicator like this to guide you on what to do, whether to buy or to sell, right? You could turn on the bullish and bearish signals in seconds. So let me just turn it off so it's a bit clearer, all right? And you can see, right, we have been in a longer term uptrend, red above the blue, all right? Both of these red and blue lines pointing up since like last year, right? However, you can see that was where we face a very strong resistance, the horizontal resistance level I talk about. Look at this, right? That was where, the green 20 days moving average line that was going up started to flatten out, right? So when the green line is flattening out, wow, the longer term trend is up. It just means that in the short term, we are back to some sideways consolidation. It means just moving sideways. It gets a little bit boring, right? But doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The longer term trend is still up, right? So we want to wait for the short term trend to turn up while we also break that key resistance level. Does it make sense? And that will be what we call an uptrend breakout, because after consolidating sideways, right? And we have been trading below this resistance for like 5 to 6 months. But one fine day, it doesn't go back down again. We actually go above that horizontal resistance. Well, it actually means something. Does it make sense? Because all this while we've been touching and coming down, but now it's like free, right? It's like going from a very small road to like an expressway. It's like the sellers kind of like surrendered and say, okay, please feel free to go now, right? So that's exactly what we are saying, right? Of course, we get a few more other confirmations, even better. So we got this uptrend breakout right over here as we broke the $1.65. Of course, when that happened, you see, right? So the longer term trend was already up since last year, no problem, right? But when the uptrend breakout happened, you can see that is where we saw the short-term trend in terms of the green line from turning flat for 4 to 5 months, right? Started to turn up, right? And I mean, it went up even more, right? So that would be another confirmation in terms of this uptrend breakout. So to get another confirmation, what we could do is, I say, right, to turn on my 1GT Pro indicator. So very simple, 1, 2, 3, let's turn it on. And very quickly, you can see that, hey, we actually had a 1GT bullish signal right over here, right? Just about 1 or 2 days before it actually broke out, right? Before it broke out. And of course, the move came in 1 or 2 days later, and it started to move all the way up. A few more bullish signals as we attempted to break another resistance. So I think that would be another, look at this, right? There would be another resistance level right over here. So it came down, right? A bit of resistance. We got kind of like below this $1.90 resistance, right? Trading below for about 2 months, and finally, pam, we broke above the horizontal resistance. We got another 1GT bullish signal. And there we go, all the way up, and it went even higher, right? So this is what I call an uptrend breakout. You get more confirmations. You get the short-term trend turning out. You get a 1GT bullish signal coming out. That is where you can write some of those massive gains, right? Let's take a look at how much gains would that be from this very first bullish signal all the way to now, a 29.4%, right? In just about 3 months. So one thing we're going to take note on the uptrend breakout is that if it breaks the key horizontal resistance level, right? Preferably, we want to see some bullish candlestick pattern right over here. Like for example, this is Shing Xong, right? I mentioned that the 190 was a little bit of a horizontal resistance level where we traded below for about 2 months, right? You can see we came down. But as we broke above the horizontal resistance, we got a new 1GT bullish signal, right? The green line that was going sideways started to turn up as well as another confirmation of the short-term trend turning back up. Plus, we also got a pretty decent, I would say, bullish candlestick right over here. Something like what we call a bullish Marubozu pattern, whereby, we open somewhere near the day low, buyers came back up, push it all the way up, and it closed at the day high. It shows that buyers are totally in control all the way from the beginning of the morning to the end of the day, right? They didn't even allow sellers to like push it down a little bit, right? And it closed right at the day high. So that would be kind of like a good confirmation whereby, buyers are in control, all right, as we break that key horizontal resistance level. And that can give rise to more upside momentum fast. So let's take a look at a case study whereby the breakout actually did not happen to the upside. It was a failed breakout, and some of the mistakes that you want to take note, right, to catch fake breakout, right? So for example, this stock right over here called Top Glove. So very quickly, you can see that the trend for this stock is pretty much down. I mean, just looking at the red line and blue line, they're both pointing down. The red went below the blue. So longer term trend is pretty much down. Of course, looking at the short term trend, the green line has been down, flat down, all right, since like, beginning of 2025, right? Right now, it is kind of like still pointing down. So remember, when we are looking to catch an upside breakout, whereby we are thinking about buying, well, we want to be in the same direction as the trend, right? Not just in the longer term, but also the short term. So like for example, this stock, right, is in a downtrend for now, right? So if you are looking to buy because it just breaks above a key horizontal resistance level, well, that's where, it might just move up a bit and sellers comes back and it starts going down. Like for example, right over here, right, you can see that that's where we actually saw a little bit of a horizontal resistance level. You can see, right? So it came down, touched it, came down, neared it, came down, same thing, neared it and came down. So what some people might do is that, they think that it would break above this horizontal resistance level. So for example, as long as it nears this level, they might try to probably just get in over here, thinking that, it will start to break this, resistance and start moving up, right? So we don't want to do that because first of all, you are in the opposite direction. You're thinking about buying when the trend is all down. So even if it breaks above that horizontal resistance, right, we are fine. But the fact is that you are kind of like against the trend. Does it make sense? So even if it breaks above that horizontal resistance, right, the upside might not be a lot. There's just one confirmation, right, that probably show that it can go up, but we need more confirmation. So the key here is that you want to have the confluence of factors or more confirmations along with that breakout move, right? It's not just trading every breakout blindly or potential breakout blindly. So in this case, what we could do is that we can also turn on the one good trend pro indicator to see if there's any bullish or maybe even bearish signals. So let's turn it on, 1 to 3, and you can see, right? Well, we actually had not one, not two, but 3 bearish signals coming out. So we've got a bearish signal, it starts going down, another 1 GT rate bearish signal, it goes down even more. All right, we attempted to break out. Oh, there was no bullish signal coming out. I mean, right, you can't see any bullish signal, right? So why do you want to think about getting in when there isn't a clear confirmation of maybe another new bullish signal? All right, so no bullish signal. A few weeks later, we got another 1 GT bearish and it starts going down even more, right? So you want to avoid fake breakouts, right? Take note, it's not just about, it breaking a horizontal resistance and you just rush into buy, right? You want to get more confirmations. You want to get what we call a bullish signal. You want to look at the candlestick. You want to look at the trend, not just in the longer term, but also the short term. And there we have it, guys. So this is pretty much the #1 chart pattern that I look out for in any markets, any stocks, right? And that's what you want to know as well, right? So if you want to find a little bit more about the entire one good trend strategy, about how we get confirmations like this, right, to guys on when to get in, as I say, right, attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for this free webinar, and I'll share with you guys a bit more about the entire framework. And more importantly, how do we actually filter out like the top 1% of stocks, right, before knowing when to get in and get out on them, or seeking those confirmations, right, extra confirmation based on this breakout pattern as well, right? How do we get the top 1% of stocks? That's exactly what I'll share in this free webinar, right? So Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to see you in the next video.